Get ready for another episode of The Awake Space. I'm Lori Rivers, your host. And this is where you come for inspiration to help you with your aspirations and get some of the most important astrological information you can find on the internet to make sure you're up to date with the latest going-ons up there, because as above, so below. All right, we've got the new moon on Friday, July 9th, and this is what I want to talk about. Pardon the air conditioner in the back. It's hot up here. Not outside like I normally am. This is a very powerful and intense new moon. And I know the ticky-tacky is all excited about it, but I'm going to give you an air of caution. This is a very, very intense new moon. And it's all about nurturing something into fruition. And in order to birth something that is so new, it means other stuff has to go away. And there are changes that have to be made. Now, we've been making these changes throughout 2021. We've been deconstructing to reconstruct, right? I've been talking about that. Deconstructing to reconstruct. The things we have to let go of in our way are things like feeling ashamed of being ambitious, feeling ashamed of not being where we thought we were supposed to be because we were trained to be somewhere. So all of you people who had your college educations interrupted, or you're still living at home with your parents and you thought you were supposed to be not home with your parents, or you're living with your kids and you'd rather be out on your own. It's letting go of what that stuff means. Because right now we are facing some very interesting, challenging times, and we have to be networked. We have to be networked, and we need to change up our networks. Now, if you're in a toxic situation and you've been afraid to leave it, this is a great time to manifest a home base. Okay, people are talking about heart space. That's great, but that doesn't mean anything. You got to know what your heart space feels like, and most of you were never trained to know what that feels like. You were trained to be up in your head and figuring things out. You weren't taught to feel into your heart space and know what's literally true for you. And I recently have been looking at some of that stuff in my own life. Like, if I looked at things logically and with my own head, this certain situation looked really insane, really dumb. And yet, if I felt into my heart space, it felt like the rightest thing in the world. And it was bouncing between the heart and the head that caused a lot of the discomfort. And that's kind of that Uranus-Saturn square action going on, tossing between the practicalities of life and the inspiration of life. And neither one of those directions are going to work independently. They're going to conflict. And so we have to come up with a different option, a different viewpoint, a different way of seeing things. And that's the prep for this new moon. You've been doing it all year. Don't think you haven't. You've been facing uncomfortable situation after uncomfortable situation after uncomfortable situation. So many of you are asking me, Lori, when does this end? And it ends when it ends. You know, I can give you dates. I don't know that the dates are going to make you feel better. Okay, but for right now, through 2021, this is what we're looking at. Into 2022. This is what we're looking at. And we have other stuff in 2023, 2024, 2025, yada, yada, yada. We are going through massive systemic change, and that change happens on the inside as much as it happens on the outside. You can't wait for society to change and for that glory day to happen if you're not doing that work on the inside, because you are society. So the more you change within, the more you can make change. So we can't wait for patriarchy to end. We are the ending of patriarchy. We can't wait for women to have equality. Women need to step up and be equal. And that means not necessarily wanting power in a traditional form where men have held power or masculine energy has held power. Because there's plenty of women who buy into patriarchy and dominance and control. Okay. You know, anybody who's a Gen Xer can tell you all about the second wave feminists who got through the glass ceiling and then put it up some concrete. And so it's important to understand we need to support each other in new and innovative ways. Like, we have to move forward. And what does that have to do with this new moon? It's approaching your manifestation in a different way. Because your manifestation hasn't turned out the way you've been trying it, right? You know, if things haven't been coming to you, it's because you're trying to do something in a way that you were told works that doesn't work. And that could be trying harder, getting more organized, working harder. You know, if you've ever been a person who had to work 3 jobs just to pay your rent, you know that working harder isn't always the solution, but working smarter and innovating does. And learning how to do that is really important. That's why I spent a lot of time teaching people those skills on how to innovate, work online. That's why when the pandemic hit and we had to go to work from home, it was same old for me. I'd been working remotely for years, like since 2005. So it wasn't a big deal for me to make that adjustment. I had a Zoom account in 2013. Why? Because I knew I needed to be up with tech. You need to be up with tech. Even if we do end up having, you know, disturbances to the internet or disturbances to electricity, there's still a need to have tech skills. We're not going to lose tech. So if you're not techie, and it doesn't matter what age you are, you could be a Gen Xer, a boomer, you could be a Gen Zer, a millennial. If you didn't learn how to use tech, now is the time to get down and dirty and take some free classes on how to use Google Docs and the Google Suite or Microsoft products, or learn how to do things online, learn how to communicate your value, because that's going to carry you forward. Everybody needs to be a little more entrepreneurial going forward. That whole thinking you're going to be secure with somebody, you know, over the top of you taking the risk, it doesn't make you more secure. It hasn't made you more secure in 30 years. You know, that's been the lie. That's when they started coming out with, oh, millennials have all this debt and they can't get jobs. And I'm like, Gen X couldn't, but, you know, everybody forgets about us. Whatever. So what does this have to do with the new moon? Everything. If you want to manifest that thing forward, you have to get into your heart space. We're going to talk about that at Cosmic Surfers on Sunday. Cosmic Surfers on Sunday. If you're a patron, that is the Cosmic Surfers level. I know that not everybody can do that one, but we get down and dirty with the metaphysics of the astrology there. And we're talking about preparing for this fall. There's a lot of stuff coming up. So speaking of Patreon, I have just had a whole bunch of people sign up for Patreon, and I think it's time for some shout outs. If you didn't listen to the last episode, make sure you listen to patron Carrie Wilson. She's an evidential medium, and she is absolutely fantastic. We had a great conversation in the last episode. She's amazing. Go listen to her. Go follow her on TikTok. Go book her for a session because she's freaking accurate. She sure shocked the heck out of me, and super accurate, and I'm kind of picky. So that's what's up, my little ducks. I'm going to do the patron shout outs, and then we're going to talk some manifestation techniques about what you can do about this new moon. Oh my gosh, we got so many new patrons. What is this? Welcome. If you're a new patron, here is your shout out. And please do join the Discord server. That's where the action happens. Introduce yourself. We are building community in there. You can ask your astrology questions. I'm in there in and out throughout the day. and I try to answer as many questions as possible, and I am taking a lot of content suggestions as I create new recorded classes, and these will come into Patreon as well depending on your level. So big shout out to Cosmic Surfer, Angela, we've got Nicole, and we've got Jamie, Sabrina, Delmira, get my glasses on here, Brooke, let's see, we've got Krista, we've got Paul, Victoria, Ella, Kat, Casey. Thank you so much for being patrons. Thank you. Without you, none of this happens. Certainly exciting. Let's see. Some of the fun stuff in the Discord. We were talking about the earthquakes in California. If you didn't know, I have been telling people all year, please be prepared. This is a very active seismic time because Uranus and Taurus rules earthquakes. Okay, so Uranus itself is something that shakes stuff up. Taurus is the earth. All astrologers will, if they're good and they know what they're doing, are warning about earthquakes. Especially with the Saturn-Uranus square. No, we're not having massive ones, and that is because Saturn is retrograde. But the couple we had up in Northern California made me a little nervous because they were sizable enough, and I'm a little bit concerned about when Saturn goes direct in October. When Saturn goes direct in October, it's a concern. It's a real concern. So do have your go bags ready, especially if now I'm in California. I keep my eye on California because that's where I live. I don't have time to do locational charts for absolutely everywhere that has seismic activity. In fact, I was doing a chart for somebody in Peru tonight, and I saw something in their chart, and I was like, hey, you need to make sure you're ready, especially towards October into the fall. And not to scare them, like I said, I'd rather be wrong that there's no earthquake and you're ready. But if you live on the West Coast, have stuff ready. Not that it's going to happen, but the possibility is much higher. Okay, so that I don't want you to be afraid. I just want you to be prepared, because there's nothing worse than having something happen and you're not prepared. And there's only so much preparation you can do. But be as prepared as possible. Again, I'm not trying to scare anybody. I just want people to know. So that's something we were talking about in the Discord server. People have been talking about what flowers they use on altars or just in general for feeling good. We have, we talk about awakening, so people are talking about their grounding techniques, what crystals they are using, what practices. There's some really great discussions around grieving, that a lot of people are grieving either their inner child or grieving people they've lost, so we kind of go around life. We talk about life because astrology deals with life. Okay, so that's something we do in Discord. So if you're a patron, get your butt in Discord. The link is in your email that I sent out, and it'll be in this one when I send out this episode. So make sure you come into Discord. Once again, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for being a patron. All right, we're going to talk about the new moon in Cancer here and the manifestation tips. I just had a phone call interrupt my recording and I had lost it all. So we're going to try it again. So I didn't write this in Patreon, but I'm going to give an update for all patrons. I do want you to be very wary in case you're in a seismic area, because the new moon will be separating out of a sextile with Uranus, this is very, very powerful energy indeed. If you want to manifest like a boss, you need to get into your heart space, and you need to trust that what you want is okay to want. It's okay to be ambitious. It's okay to want to be comfortable. You need to understand what comfortable is to you. It's not always the dollar amount. It's what the dollar amount does for you. Okay, we've all been trained. Don't be greedy. Don't be mean. Don't be that person. You're not going to be a greedy, mean person. It's okay to be ambitious. Okay. I want you guys to really meditate on this, and tonight I want you to write out what it is that you really want. Don't hedge your bets. Okay, stop playing it safe. What if you really are that powerful and you can create an amazing life for yourself? Stop with the I don't feel good enough about myself. I feel like an imposter. I feel like a fake. I'm going to just tell you straight up, plain talk. Nobody knows what the heck they're doing. Nobody knows. So you don't have to know. You just have to know what you want. Let yourself want that, and that's what you will birth. Okay? You're looking at having a good home, a home space, and home starts within. Trust this, Cancerian. Home isn't the house you're in. Home isn't the place you live. Home is who you are and who you're attracting around you. And if you're not in a great home environment, it's time to change that. It's time to manifest that. Okay? So, I want you guys to really understand tomorrow could be a volatile day. It could be an emotionally volatile day. So you want to keep your focus on the things you want. You want to look at what you want. You want to keep a singular focus on what you want. That's what is going to create what you need for you more than anything else. And if you're a patron, come into Discord. Ask about manifestation techniques. My favorite is writing things down. Just writing things down. Write down. Nobody else has to see it. Nobody has to judge it. Let yourself want it. I can't count the number of you who come into readings with me and don't admit what it is that you really want because you're afraid. You're afraid it makes you a bad person. You're afraid you can't have it. Stop it. Just say it. It doesn't matter if you can't have it right now. Just say it. That's what matters. That's what matters. Okay? So you can clean your altar. You can tidy your room. You can write things down. Don't say things you don't believe. Don't say, I have it now if you don't and you don't believe it. But you can say, I really, really want this thing. This is how I want to feel. I want to feel at home in my body. I want to feel safe in my body. I want to have new boundaries. I want to have healthy boundaries. I want to be happy. I want to be able to communicate to myself in ways that makes me feel good. Those are going to get you more than wishing for your ex to come back. I can guarantee it. And I know my ex came back. But the only reason my ex came back is because I'm feeling really good on the inside. I like where I'm at in life. And that's why my ex came back. Okay. And he wasn't a total ex anyway. We had already had lines of communication open. We just hadn't seen each other in 4 years. And that things have changed for both of us. And we're in a different space. We're not the same people we were. We're also older. We're not young and in the middle of things. We were never young in the middle of things, but meeting each other kind of took us by surprise. So that's what we've got, my friends. And it's not about him. It's not about him. It's about me and where I'm at. And the fact that he showed up was pretty cool. It was really nice to sit with him. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you can go watch my videos on TikTok because it was kind of an interesting bit of a transit that happened. It was a perfect example of the moon conjuncting the North Node. A little bit of fate. And then a little bit of free will. And that's what this takes. You need to exercise your free will. Trust yourself above all else. Trust yourself. So I am going to say tomorrow, again, earthquake possibility is relatively high. I was avoiding writing that in Patreon because I hate scaring people. I hate it. I hate scaring people. But if you're on the West Coast, make sure you're prepared. It'll probably happen before the new moon, but it could happen after the new moon. Most likely before, just because that's the sextile energy between Uranus and the moon. And that's volatility. And we got a taste of it today on the approach. So it could happen anytime tonight, June 8th through June 9th morning into afternoon. So just be aware. And there'll be some lucky saves. So there's that going for us. It's powerful, powerful new moon. I'm going to go live on TikTok in just a little bit. I don't really have a live schedule. I wish I did, but it doesn't really work for me because I have a Sagittarius Mars, so I kind of have to work on my whimsy. That's one of those things you got to get comfortable with. Know how you operate. The most structure I get is my reading schedule. Speaking of, I forgot to tell you, there is a special discount. You can save $55 on natal readings with the code SAVE55 . I'll put that in the description as well. Do that. Get in, have a reading with me. And I've got a new astrology class I'll be teaching in August, which is how to read the birth chart. And it's a 4-week workshop, and I walk you through the mechanics of reading a natal chart. We do the planets, signs, and houses. We go through each thing very systematically so you understand it. You're not just parroting words. You're actually going to understand how to read a natal chart. And that, I have an early bird special for the first 25 people who sign up. It's 50% off, and I'll put that code in the description here as well. All right. Manifest your little hearts out, you beasties, and I'll see you on TikTok.